Oh, I forgot to tweet it. Forgot to tweet that our show was happening right now. How could I have done this? How could I oh man, and the thing on the website doesn't even have the right video player. Everything's falling apart. Nothing's going right here on a Wednesday night for the Panther-Lair Show. I'm glad that some of you are already here. Let me try and tweet the link out so we can at least get some more people coming to hang out and watching our live Panther-Lair Show tonight. I forgot to tweet it, but we are live right now. Control V, there we go. And everybody can tune in here on this week's live Panther-Lair Show, 1 week from the start of the 2025 football season. And we're here hanging out for an hour of Pitt sports talk on the Panther-Lair Show here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Jim will join us in just a minute. And everyone is rolling in, so we'll do kind of the usual things. Make sure you check out Panther-Lair.com, Panther-Lair.com to get all the Pitt sports news you can possibly handle. And our YouTube channel right here, youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Like this page or like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com and you won't miss anything. And, you know, like something like tonight where I forgot to tweet it out, if you're just relying on us for social media to tell you when we're going to go live, a good solution is if you subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com and turn on your notifications, you'll get an alert sent to your phone. So even if I forget to tweet about it or X about it or blue skeet about it or whatever they're calling it over there, you will get a notification on your phone that says, hey, Panther-Lair is live. He forgot to tweet it. He's an idiot, but it's live and you can tune in now. So subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com, turn on your notifications, and you can, you'll never miss anything that we do here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com. Let's bring Jim Hammett in here to get the conversation started. Jim, I started like a minute later. I got distracted from tweeting it because I was reading you put up the transcripts from ACC Media Day today. Pat Narduzi, Kyle Lewis, Desmond Reed, Lyndon Cooper. Did they not have Javon McIntyre speak to the media today, Jim?
I guess not. I mean, I know he went on the trip, but can you not hear me? No, you can't hear.
I can hear you. I just was plugged into the wrong thing. So you were actually coming through the audio on my computer have then been picked up by the microphone. And then anyway, I'm sure it was really cool. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think he was there, but I didn't see him on the stage, and he wasn't on the transcript. So I guess we'll have to ask what that was about. But I guess he was able to go through like maybe smaller interviews, like TV interviews. But like I guess he wasn't up on the main stage with the other four. But yeah, I was like reading the I knew you were going to ask me about like, hey, what'd you hear about ACC Media Days? So I was like, maybe I should look up the transcript. I started like halfway through, and I was like, I bet our readers want to read this too. So I was like, maybe I should put this up like right before we get on the podcast. So yeah, I got a little refresher on everything that went down.
That was good. It seemed like, did somebody ask Kyle Lewis a question about being the number one running back? Did you catch that?
Yeah, I think like Pat Narduzi was talking about like how he's good with. He went on like a huge rant with the linebacker, so I didn't get through like all of it. I mean, there was a lot more there than I expected.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, Narduzi was talking about Kyle Lewis and they're going to blitz him and he's going to do all these different things. But the last question to Kyle Lewis was, I saw you over there grinning from ear to ear when Coach Narduzi was talking about how you're as good as any running back with the ball in your hands and all those things. What does it mean to you to have a coach? Did he say that about Kyle Lewis having the ball in his hands? I don't think he did. Because I just read through this. I thought whoever asked the question just got mixed up and thought.
No, he does say it. Kyle Lewis, you've seen him take a couple interceptions and run with the ball. He's as good as
any tailback. Okay, never mind. You know what? I'm always trying to really nail the ACC media to the wall because they bug me. And so I thought there was a chance there where they got that mixed up. No, so going through the transcript, I mean, I was just kind of glancing through it before we came on. I don't know. Was there anything that really jumped out to you from what Pat Narduzi said?
Not too much. I mean, he got like one of his like Pat Narduzi like little shots in there. Like we didn't lose anyone to the transfer portal that we did. We were okay with losing. I would think they would probably want Sincere Edwards and Ryland
Yeah.
Gandy, but that's just like Pat Narduzi has to be Pat Narduzi and has to say one thing like that. So I think that was his one shot, but it wasn't too bad. I mean, like he's gonna, I think that was more just betting on his own players and kind of trusting them, but he always has to get one, right?
Yeah, and so many of these coaches do this, and there's just no reason not to. Because I'll read the quote. Most of our quote, we have a talented football team. Most of our weapons are back. We did not lose anybody that we wanted to keep in the transfer portal. We enhanced our roster. Like you could just leave that sentence out. Like you don't have to say we didn't lose anybody we wanted to keep. Like you don't have to do that. You can just say we have a talented football team. Most of our weapons are back. We've enhanced our roster. Like that's okay. You can say your additions are good. You don't have to like kick guys as they're leaving your team. I know you're like bitter and disappointed, but they're not out there, they're not out there like Kentucky's basketball coach talking about how Jalen Lowe didn't have any talent around him. Like if these kids were out there bashing Pitt, then okay, I could see it a little bit, but that's not happening. Like, is Sincere Edwards taking shots at Pitt from, UCF? Is Ryland Gandy taking shots at Pitt from Indiana? Talking about like, yeah, there was no way I wanted to stay there. What do you gain by that?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that one will like get brought up or like come back to bite him, but he can't help himself. He's always been that way.
Well, and that's the thing. It's not going to get brought up. It's not going to come back to bite him because it'll happen 3 more times before the end of his media day press conference at Pitt next week. Like and it happens every week. I just don't know what there's nothing gained by it. Like so many times there are things that happen probably in life, but certainly in our very specific and narrow corner of the world here, where you just ask yourself, like, what do you gain by this? And that's one of those situations where I just don't know what you gain. What else? Talked about excited about playing West Virginia. Talked about how hard a coach's job is. They have to coach 12 months a year. That's really that's a big challenge. Talked about how Eli Holstein was banged up, but he's excited about him and looking forward to it. Did you see our friend Stephen Thompson quoted out a comment from Pat Narduzi that the last 2 years they brought a quarterback to media day, ACC media day, and it didn't work out very well. So almost like it was like superstition. That's why they didn't take Eli Holstein down there. Did you see that one?
I did. He said not to read too much into it, but I think last week we both started to read into it a little bit. But
yeah, if superstition is your reason because Phil Dracovic and Nate Yarnell didn't work out, like I'm sorry, that doesn't make sense. Like that's silly, like childish stuff. Like, what are you talking about? Like, are you not going to change your underwear every day if you like start winning games? Like, did you wear the same dirty socks every week for 7 weeks when you started 7-0 last year? Like, what are we talking about with, this superstitious stuff? That's not it. And now somebody did point out, they released that like film study thing with Eli Holstein on social media. Did you see that?
I saw it. I didn't watch it yet. Yeah.
Right. But it exists. So they're clearly not trying to hide him, which I don't think I ever suggested they were trying to hide him. It's still weird not to take your returning starter or quarterback down there. And don't give me that superstition brought on by the fact that 2 years ago, you took a guy who looked broken the previous year of college football and he didn't work out. And then last year you took a guy who had started all of like 3 games and he didn't work out. That's the reason you're not taking the guy who went 7-3 last year as a starter, 7-4, 7-3,
7-3,
and led you to a 7-0 start. Like that doesn't rate at all. But he said he looks good. I did think it was interesting that when talking about Eli Holstein, he said, quote, "I think when game day comes around, that's his deal. That's when it comes down to fourth quarter, when the game's on the line. That's a guy you want taking every snap and touching the ball when it counts. We got a ton of respect for him. There's pressure on him." Kind of pointing out that maybe Eli might be a bit of a gamer, like a guy who maybe doesn't always practice well, but he'll step up when the game happens. How do you feel about that concept? Jim, not necessarily related to Eli Holstein, but the idea of the gamer quarterback, the guy where you're supposed to basically ignore what you see from him in practice 6 days a week and trust that when it actually matters, he's going to go out there and be good.
I mean, from the quarterback specifically, I don't think that's a good thing. Like, maybe a wide receiver, you could buy into that, but like, I don't know, quarterback kind of needs to lead by example. But I guess like when thinking about Eli, it kind of tracks. I mean, like when he first got here last spring, like I don't think he blew anyone away, and like Nate Yarnell left as the starter out of spring. Then he turned it on like at the very end of camp. Like that's kind of like being a gamer. Like you saw some of those games against Cincinnati. 3 quarters, Pitt's down 27-6. They're barely doing anything. Boom. Like, all right. Like he throws 1 touchdown pass and gets all this confidence. So I don't know. Maybe it's a real thing. I think it's kind of a dangerous way to live, especially if you're a quarterback, but there has to be some kind of truth to it. I mean, because just the vibes, like even this offseason, like that's why we're talking about Eli Holstein. That's why we're talking about him not going to ACC media days. He was kind of underwhelming at camp. Like that was kind of the deal.
Yeah. And I think part of it, like you talk about like last year, spring camp, he came out of spring camp not as the number 1 quarterback. Nate Yarnell was obviously far enough ahead to go to ACC media day, but he was hurt. Like Nate Yarnell was banged up last spring. And the coaches even said it, like that's probably why he was behind, because he was kind of banged up. Now you have the same sort of thing coming out this year. So maybe it's that, but like, I don't know. I don't want to like jump ahead here, but Mark Shillaju has a question that's sort of related to this. The question of Eli Holstein's leash. Like, how long is it this year? Does a bad half early in the year constitute a change? And like, this is a question I'm really, really curious about, because, and we probably have talked about this and we'll continue to talk about it. You mentioned the Cincinnati game. If he has a half or 3 quarters like he did against Cincinnati this year, does he stay in the game? Because he played poorly enough in that game to get benched, all the way up until the point when he played awesome enough to win the damn game. Like, does he or should he get benched if he plays like that this year?
I'm just kind of interested to see how Cade Bell reacts to it, because I mean, we're talking about a scenario 2 years ago that was very similar. Like it was very apparent that Phil Dracovic should have been taken out like after the first quarter of the West Virginia game. Like if that same situation happens this year, Pitt's in a tight game, but the offense isn't moving the ball. Like, is Cade Bell going to be tempted to go to Cole Gonzalez? Because again, at that point, it's a quarterback he knows he can run this offense. So I'm interested to see in that scenario how Cade Bell reacts, because if you recall 2 years ago, Narduzi all but said like he put it all on Cignetti. He was the one that wanted to keep Dracovic in. Like that was his call, and that's what we went with. So I mean, that should suggest that Cade Bell has that exact same ability to remove the quarterback. So we'll see. I don't know.
Yeah, and I agree, and I think it will be the offensive coordinator's call. But like, I don't think Narduzi realized how much. Like, I don't think he was trying to pass the buck when he said those things about Dracovic and Cignetti. But and I think he was being sincere, and I think he was just telling the situation as it was. I just don't know if he realized how much it kind of damned him too, because it's like, you're the head coach. You can see what everybody else can see. And it doesn't matter if there's one guy who doesn't see it. If you see it, you need to step in and do something. And I think, I think there's a lot of offshoots from that. I think some of it is what got those other guys on the offensive staff fired that year. But at some point, Narduzi has to be willing to step in and say, this guy sucks or he's playing really poorly. We need to make a change here. I don't care if you don't know the first thing about offense. Everybody and their brother could tell, like everybody watching that game, that backyard brawl 2 years ago, knew a quarterback change should have been made at halftime. And it was indefensible that it wasn't made at halftime. And then another game, right? Wasn't the Virginia Tech game after that too? Like that wasn't Dracovic's last start, right?
I think it might have been, because I think the next week was the North Carolina or
because he started the Virginia Tech game, and I don't think the Virginia Tech game was before. I had the schedule. The Virginia Tech game wasn't before. I had the basketball schedule up because somebody mentioned the Citadel game from a couple years ago, and I was trying to remember the big white guy's name from the Citadel. Do you remember the big white guy from the Citadel?
I don't.
Hayden Brown.
Okay.
But there was another guy in that game who scored like 27 points. It was his first collegiate game. He was a true freshman. He ended up transferring to Richmond, Jason Roche. And like literally the best game of his college basketball career was the first game when he crushed Pitt for 27 points. No, West Virginia was the third game of the 23 season. He started that one. And then the North Carolina game, I think he started that and then got hurt. And was like, oh, well, he looked okay until he got hurt. And then he started the Virginia Tech game and threw the 75-yard touchdown to Bub Means on like the first play of the game and then stuck the rest of the way. And then they had the week off. And then the Louisville game was when Christian Bayer stepped in. So 5 games they started that guy. It's unconscionable. It's indefensible. And it cost them how much out of like they should have beat West Virginia. They should have beat Cincinnati. I don't know if I blame Dracovic for that. Carolina, I mean, they weren't going to beat Drake May, but they probably should have beat Virginia Tech too because their offense was terrible in that game. There's at least 2 more wins that should have happened there. Instead of starting the season 1-4, they should have been at least 3-2, if not 4-1. But whatever. We don't need to go down. We don't need to relitigate the Phil Dracovic experiment here on tonight's Panther-Lair Show. Let's see. Josh Newark says, should we be concerned that despite beating Penn State 77-0 in the national title game to finish undefeated, despite Desmond Reed winning the Heisman and Eli Holstein tossing 89 touchdowns, Kenny Johnson transferred from my team with 100 catches, 2,000 yards, and 39 touchdowns? So I guess Josh has been playing the video game, and it seems it's been going well, aside from Kenny Johnson transferring. Now, Jim, did you say you got the new video game, the 2026 game? Is that available? Do people get that?
Yes.
And
it's good. Yeah, I played it a little bit. I don't think I played it as much this week, but I did simulate one season. Like I was part of my 3-2-1 column. So I think Pitt won 10 games without me doing anything, just simulating. But I didn't go the whole way to like the transfer portal. I should have done that.
Yeah. It's exhausting to me to think about playing a video game where I have to like recruit and get transfers and hold on to transfers and things like that. It's just, there was a time when I was interested in that, like about 20 years ago when I would play Madden and I would go through the draft process and, I drafted a linebacker in the first round. They gave him the number 58 jersey. And I was like playing as the Steelers. I'm like, wow, this kid must be really good if they gave him 58. I mean, and he ended up being awesome. So I guess he had like 30 sacks one season. I just don't have time for all of that nowadays. So we have the 2025 game. I play it occasionally, but I'm terrible at it. I throw interceptions all the time. So maybe I need to bench my quarterback. Josh says, okay, serious question. Am I naive and actually kind of believing Pat Narduzi and his justification of not bringing Eli today to just superstition? Like we said, I think the superstition's a little bit weird. But, we came out of spring camp, Jim, and we sort of touched on this a minute ago. We came out of spring camp talking about, Holstein might not have been the best quarterback in camp. And, this Mason Heinchel, he's playing pretty well. He might be able to push him. But maybe it was just the injury. Maybe they go through training camp. He's healthy. He's in the second year of the offense. Cade Bell knows what he likes to do and what he can do. Holstein knows what Cade Bell likes to do and what he can do. He knows the receivers that much better. He's got synergy, and with Lyndon Cooper. Like maybe it really just comes together. Like, I mean, there were plenty of times last year where we saw Eli Holstein be really freaking good and do some really good things. And I think, did we talk last week about like risk and his risk taking?
Yeah.
Was that a topic conversation? I thought so. And like, maybe he finds that balance of taking risks at the right time to take risks and, not being quite as reckless with the ball, either for fumbles or interceptions. It's not an impossible outcome for that to happen. And I guess what I'm getting to, Jim, is Eli Holstein is part of a bigger picture here. And are you at the point in the summer where that optimism is starting to really creep in, where you're starting to buy into like Lyndon Cooper might be one of the best center prospects in the country, where Kyle Lewis is a returning All-American and might do it again. And, Rasheem Biles might be an All-American, and Desmond Reed is one of the most explosive players, and their O-line is upgraded, and their D-line is going to get more pressure, and their secondary is not going to miss a beat, and the schedule's not all that tough, and like this team could actually make some noise. Are you at that point in the summer yet?
I think so. Like today's start. Today was like the first day it felt like I was like working in like months. Like I wrote a lot of words. I was reading transcripts. I did a Zoom call with Deshaun Jackson. It was
That's
like,
right.
I'm like back in the swing of things. So I don't know. I think so. I mean, I think I've been pretty consistent all offseason that I thought this year's team would be better than last year. I mean, just the second year of a coordinator, second year of a quarterback, 2 returning All-Americans. Not the craziest schedule in the world, but there's some tough games in there. But yeah, I mean, I think they could be pretty good. I mean, a few things need to break their way, and we've seen in the past couple of years how close the line is to winning and losing. I mean, like some of those 2021 games, those were tight. I mean, like it like to win an ACC championship, like it was a nail biter with Virginia, but that's how it goes. I mean, you just have to come out on the right end of those games more often than not. But I think this team could be in competitive with pretty much every team on the schedule, like looking at it right now.
Yeah. You mentioned Deshaun Jackson. You sat down with him. He had his first media availability with Pittsburgh Media today. What jumped out there? Anything interesting?
I wanted to ask him about, just the balance between him joining the team and Pitt's only returning starter is Cam Corrin, and they both kind of play the same position. So he also let on, he's like, well, I haven't been playing with Papa since he has something going on. So I don't know if Pliz was in the background kind of like cringing, but or does the basketball team care as much as football? I guess not.
About injury stuff?
Yeah.
Not quite as much.
Yeah, not quite as much.
But some.
Yeah, but I mean, he kind of said like one of our team strengths is going to have to be size. Like we are going to be on the court at the same time. So I thought that was one takeaway that I had from that. I asked him about Noyes, his teammate from Iowa State, and I don't know. I think he said lockdown shooter or knockdown shooter, something like that. Like one of the best shooters he's ever seen. So I don't know. I mean, we've asked all offseason, where is that, shooting going to come from at the 2 and 3 spot? Maybe he provides a little bit of it. I did ask him about Roman Sipa. I did. I was just like, what do you know about him? Like, you have this like crazy guy. He's like, oh, I just heard about him a couple of days ago. I don't know anything. I was like, what do you mean? Like, you haven't been on the Panther-Lair message boards for the past 5 months? Like, come on.
Apparently not. I mean, you mentioned about like the size and stuff. I saw somebody, some of the talk about him playing with Cam Corrin. Do you like what did he say about that? What did he say? That's a real thing. They've been working together. He
did. Yeah, he did. I mean, like he kind of acknowledged last year that they did play 2 bigs. He said, he didn't name Guillermo, but they had a stretch forward, a guy like that. And he said, that's not my game. Like I like to get the ball on the block and kind of go to work, I think was his phrase or something close to it. So I don't know. He did mention that they're going to be on the court together. So we'll see. I mean, I don't think like the whole team hasn't really been together yet. I think he led on that like Henry Lau just got there yesterday. Roman just committed. Henry Cody Lau.
Cody.
Yeah. Okay.
Henry Cody Lau. Thank you.
He, obviously Roman Sipa just committed. So like they're not right. They're not whole yet. So I think it's kind of hard to kind of know all the parts, but I don't know. You ask them like the general things like, how's team chemistry? How's that coming together? How's your experience, playing on NCAA tournament team last year? Like the normal things you would ask a player like him. So it seems like he's kind of taking on a leadership role of some kind and, just trying to teach the younger guys because he's played a lot of basketball in college.
Yeah. Let me see. Joey Dealey wants to know, do you think Roman Sipa will be a day one contributor? He has a high upside and a fun young player that we can build around if he stays. I still think the funniest thing of all will be when we spend all this time on the offseason talking about Roman Sipa and Cam Corrin starts at the 4 and Sipa comes off the bench. And then there's a big roar when he gets in for the first time. And it's like 3 minutes left to go in the first half against do we know who they're playing in the opener? Is that one of the games that's been announced?
I wrote about it today. I think it's Youngstown State, November 3rd.
Okay, so Youngstown State, and he doesn't play until like the 8-minute timeout in the first half. And so will he be a day one contributor? I think he will contribute on day one. How much? I don't know. I don't know what to expect. What are your expectations right now for Roman?
I don't know. I mean, looking at him, like he looks college ready. I mean, he's a physical presence. He's an athlete. He dunks everything. Like he looks the part. But I don't know. I don't have a good feel for what Australian high school basketball and Australian AAU basketball really is competition wise. I mean, there's usually guys that, contribute at the college level from Australia, but I don't know. I mean, he looks good. I think I said it last week, but like sometimes you kind of fall in love with the international prospect. He looks really good, and until you kind of see it work, you don't know. But I mean, everything we're told, he's going to play, right? Like,
I don't know how he wouldn't or why he wouldn't. I mean, you can't not do that. Joey Dealey also says Roman kind of reminds me of Justin Champagny, but I could be wrong. A guy that can rebound and finish inside. What do you think? I think he should be. Personally, I think he should be able to defend better than Champagny. Like, I think he'll be like tougher and more physical than Champagny. Not that Champagny wasn't physical, but I think Roman will be more physical and a better defender than Champagny. I don't know. What do you think about what do you think about the rebounding and, post finishing comparison?
I mean, yeah, I'd say similar profiles. I mean, I think Roman's a little more muscular, but probably about the same height. Both kind of go after the ball. I mean, Justin Champagny averaged a double-double his sophomore year. I mean, he was pretty tenacious going after the ball. So that would be high praise. And if that, Roman Cialipa can do that as a freshman, that would be huge for this team. I mean, I think they got better in the rebounding department. Like, he only enhances it. So I'm more interested. Like, I think he can handle himself athletically. Like, I think he can go in there, play defense, rebound. I really just want to see what his skill level is as an offensive player. And, because I think that's what could really be a difference maker for this team. Like, if he's actually like a college ready, 20, 25 minute a game, like averaging double figures, like that would be huge for this team because they need guys like that.
Pitt Tough Guy says, to date, since he was hired in October 2024, Alan Green's actions have been a $1 million gift from the Miller family and 3 hires in the athletic department. Am I missing anything? He extended Dan Fisher. Dan Fisher got a contract extension in January. That comes to mind. And I think there's been a lot of behind the scenes work on preparing for this new era. Now, he has not included Pitt Tough Guy on the communications about that. He has not consulted with Pitt Tough Guy about whether or not to take tuition money to pay for the revenue sharing. But I do believe behind the scenes, Alan Green has been working to prepare Pitt for this new era, the post-house settlement era. Is there anything else that comes to mind, Jim, from Alan Green's on the record or public accomplishments?
I don't think. I don't know. I really haven't been watching for them. Like, I don't like. To me, like, I don't really care too much about like the athletic directors, like day to day, every single day what he does. I mean, like, big picture things, you want to see him around. You'd like to see him be visible and do a press conference here and there. But for the most part, I mean, like, how often are you and me, like, in this business for a long time, talking about the athletic director's accomplishments in the first 6 years of his job tenure? Like, what does that matter?
I mean, we are also, it's like 9 months in too. I mean, like, it's a very short period of time. But I do think just hearing from different people, I think he's done well to connect with the various athletic programs. I think he's done well to connect with the football program. I mean, when I talk to people around football, they all have a really positive, perception of him. They feel like he's given them what they need and promised to give them what they need and made sure they'll have what they need. I think there's the football program feels confident that they've got the support they need from the athletic director, in addition to the chancellor, Joan Gable. I think also a lot of time has been spent, again, working behind the scenes to try to position Pitt for this. And that's not as much fun as having like big announcements and stuff, but he did extend Dan Fisher. So that's probably something we should include in his list of accomplishments. Lawrence Nicoletta says this season will be successful only if the quarterback and O-line are great. I think he can be successful if the quarterback and O-line are pretty good.
Yeah.
Or even just good. I don't know if they need to be great. They need to be good and they need to be consistent. The O-line needs to stay healthy. The quarterback too, and the quarterback needs to minimize mistakes. Then it should work, right?
I think so. I mean, I think they could be successful if Eli Holstein is not their best player. I'm not expecting him to be their best player, but I still think they could be successful if he's one of the 5 or 6, 7 best players. But he doesn't have to be the superstar of this team for them to be good.
What's the weak spot on defense? Is it the pass rush, defensive line?
Until we see it on the field, I guess so. I would say, like, I mean, obviously, like, I think in the press conference today, Pat Narduzi said he has the best linebacking trio in the country. So that was pretty high praise for his guys. I think they have pretty experienced secondary, some talent back there, good coaches. So I would, yeah, it's defensive line right now.
I think, it was interesting Narduzzi said that about the 3 linebackers because, a couple of weeks ago I did our linebacker week, preview throughout the whole week, and I ranked the top 5 linebackers in the Narduzzi era. And I had Kyle Lewis still at number 2 behind Shavassi Dennis at number 1. I fully expect that to change after this season. It is not inconceivable that 3 of the top 5 next year at this time will be the 3 who start this year: Kyle Lewis, Rasheem Biles, and Braylon Lovelace. Like, I mean, would that shock you at all if next year it's totally plausible to just rank those 3 among the top 5?
No, I mean, I wouldn't be stunned at all if like Braylon Lovelace has like a breakout season. Like, I think he's that good. And he was the first one like of that, like whatever, the 23 class to get on the field. I think even before Rasheem Biles. So like they've always thought highly of him. I think he's kind of like got himself physically to a point where he's ready to play middle linebacker. So yeah, I mean, I think he could be really good. Obviously, Kyle Lewis already has the credentials, and Rasheem Biles is pretty much not that far off from Lewis himself.
Yeah, and you could have made a case that I should have put Biles in the top 5 this year, just off the strength of last year and his block punts in 2023.
Yeah.
I left him out of the top 5, but I mean, it was behind guys like Sean Idowu and Matt Galambos. I mean, they had multiple years where they were pretty decent players, but you could argue Biles' season last year was better than any individual season those guys had. So I probably should have put him in already. I was just looking. I don't remember when they got on the field, but I mean, Biles did block a punt against West Virginia. So that was the 3rd game of the season in 2023. But I forget it. Lovelace probably played every game that year, right?
I think so. And like he was actually like he was playing like defensive snaps. Like I remember he had a touchdown against Virginia Tech.
Right. But that was on special teams, right?
Was it?
I think it was a recovered block punt.
I thought it was on defense, but maybe
scooped a fumble and returned it 4 yards. You're right. Yeah.
Okay. So like he was actually like getting like defensive reps as a true freshman, which was the surprise because it was probably supposed to be Jordan Bass. Like everyone expected it to be him, like of that 3-man linebacking class. And
yeah.
He's now the odd man out, which is kind of unique.
And he ended up like getting a start that year. You remember, because Solomon DeShields got hurt on the kickoff against Wake Forest.
Yeah.
You remember that? That was another good reason not to, not to have your starters on special teams. But yeah, Lovelace started 4 games last year, which I'd kind of forgotten. He started 4 out of the first 5 games in 2024. 2023, he logged defensive snaps in 10 games and played 160 snaps. In Boston College, he only played like 2 defensive snaps, but he played 39 against Virginia Tech, 28 against Notre Dame, 23 against West Virginia. So yeah, he got a healthy amount. And yeah, I think by the end of the year, I actually, for tomorrow's morning pit, I'm talking about breakout players, and he's one. And it's funny to say a guy who had 53 tackles and 10.5 tackles for loss could have a breakout season still waiting. But in terms of moving into the starting lineup and moving up to like 80, 90 tackles, I think it's totally plausible. Here's what I'll be interested to see, Jim. This past year, Donovan McMillan had 115 tackles. Kyle Lewis had 101. I think Biles had 82. Brandon George had 80, and Lovelace had 53. Those are your top 5 tacklers. Do you think one of the safeties will get 100 tackles again? And if they don't, is it possible that you could see Lewis and Biles get 100 and Lovelace get close to like 90?
I guess. I mean, I think either safety has 100 tackle potential. I don't know if they'll get there, but like they're both good players. Like they're put in positions to make those plays. But I don't know. I mean, I could see all 3 linebackers like all being over 85.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think that's like crazy at all.
Yeah. And piling up the tackles for, I wonder if, Lovelace, like I said, had 10.5 tackles for loss last year. I wonder if those numbers take a hit at all if he's playing, because he was playing outside too. You know,
Right.
like he wasn't just playing inside linebacker. And so I wonder if his numbers might take a hit a little bit playing middle linebacker all the time. I mean, Servasi Dennis still ended up with 36 career tackles for loss. But for the most part, the middle linebackers, I guess, you know, Matt Colombo's had double-digit tackles for loss one time. But for the most part, you're getting those tackles for loss from the outside linebackers in Pat Narduzi's defense. So I wonder if Lovelace numbers take a little bit of a hit there, but he still does well in total tackles. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and maybe that could be dependent on like the defensive tackles. Like, are those guys getting in the backfield, getting those tackles for loss? Like, because if not, like he'll be able to pick up the slack, no problem. Like I think he has that ability, and Pitt's middle linebackers, like you said, Dennis a couple years ago was doing it, so like he could. I mean, we'll see. I mean, I think a lot of it depends on if guys like Sean Fitzsimmons are getting in the backfield and making those plays or not.
Right. John Jingleheimer Schmidt says, can you remember a period in covering college sports where you spent more time talking about admin functions like NIL, conference realignment, et cetera, than the actual sport? I mean, anytime there's conference realignment, I think we've spent a lot of time, you know, that draws all the focus, particularly when the games aren't being played, right? I mean, like when the games are being played, I think people do tend to still keep most of their focus on the sport itself. But when the games aren't being played, and you've got conference realignment or the transfer portal. I don't know if JJHS here would consider that as part of the admin functions that he's talking about of like transfers and player acquisition and movement. But like, you know, when the games aren't being played, things like realignment are huge stories. And, you know, and sometimes that happens when the games are being played. That story, you know, the story of Pitt going to the ACC broke when the Panthers were playing at Iowa in 2011. I mean, so, you know, I think if there's conference realignment's always going to be a big topic. NIL, revenue sharing, these things are going to be big topics because they inevitably affect the sport. But when the games are being played, I think we mostly stay focused, don't we?
Yeah, I would say so. Like, I think like all the, you know, like what's going to happen with the Big Ten and the SEC, what happens next. Like, I think you kind of like, you let your imagination run wild in the summer. And that's whenever things start to get crazy. I mean, like that's whenever like Texas and Oklahoma dropped the bomb that they were leaving, and USC and UCLA did the same. It was like in July, it was stuff like that. But like once the games get played, like that's kind of what we focus about. And like, I don't know, like that's why like today it just kind of felt like, oh, like it's now the season. Like I, you know, like I need to like watch for these press conferences and like stuff's going to happen every day now. And camp starts next week. And it's like, all right, like summer's over. Like it's still going to be hot, but like now I have to work again.
Voodoo IPA wants to know, for Jim, I'm streaming from Cape May next week. What places on the Jersey Shore are a must see that are friendly for a 10-year-old? So, Jim, have you taken many 10-year-olds down the shore?
The zoo in Cape May County is actually really good. I was like impressed. Like they had like, it was kind of like the Pittsburgh Zoo, like all kinds of animals, like a big safari. So like the zoo out there, I think it's free. I think I took my nieces there 2 years ago. So free is good. Everyone goes in the morning to like kind of beat like the 90-degree weather. I'm trying to think what else. Like some boardwalks are more kid friendly than others. I would probably stay clear of the Wildwood Boardwalk. But
it's not kid friendly.
Not so much. I would say that's more like Ocean City, Maryland.
Really?
Yeah.
My parents used to. We always used to get Wildwood was our vacation spot when I was a kid, and so we would be on the boardwalk. And so I got crapped on by a seagull once on the Wildwood Boardwalk.
Yeah, you just see like all the crazy T-shirts and stuff like that. And so, I mean, I guess that's an experience. I mean, I was there as a 10-year-old. Maybe I shouldn't have been, but I'm trying to think. Cape May is like super nice. I haven't been there in years, but like I think you'll like it down there.
Okay. Grant Sakuda says, how would we assess Jim Phillips' performance as ACC commissioner amongst the evolving college landscape? I don't know. I guess I would say he's done about as well. What are the options? Like, I don't know if there's a superhero commissioner out there who could somehow turn the ACC's fortunes around. You know what I mean? Like right now, all the power is in the Big Ten and the SEC. They're flaunting it. They're pushing everyone else around. They're enjoying it. They're giggling as they like stuff you into a dumpster, you know, and there's nothing you can really do about it. You can talk about how we've got the power and the 99% or whatever you want to say. But the reality is There's nothing you can do about it. They're in charge, and the best you can do is hope to stay in their good favor, which I guess Jim Phillips has more or less done that. I don't know. Like, maybe there are, like I say, superhero actions that could have been done to change this conference's fortunes, but if there are, I don't know what they are.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, maybe like whenever they decided that, okay, Cal and Stanford and SMU could join, like, I don't know, maybe they could have been more proactive in trying to like poach some Big 12 members, try to be more strong, but I don't know. I mean, ACC and Big 12 are kind of both in the same predicament of just being below the other two. Like, that's just what it is right now. So I don't know. When he like speaks sometimes, I don't think he like invokes a lot of confidence. It kind of just looks like, oh, it's just a friendly guy from the ACC, just kind of letting it all happen. But again, I don't know what he can do differently, but I guess fine to just average to just he's kind of there. Like, I wouldn't say he's done an outstanding job, but I don't think he's done a terrible job.
Yeah, I mean, Clemson and Florida State are still in the conference, so
yeah,
good job. You also kind of grease the skids for them to leave in 5 years, right? I think 2030 is when the payout amount drops. So, yeah, I mean, whatever. Let's see. We were talking about Pat Narduzi's bitterness against players who leave. Will Z says, "Give me a break, Dues. You would have liked to have at least had Ryle and Gandy back. Dues is like a bitter ex-girlfriend." I would say Sincere Edwards was probably the one they really did. I don't think they pushed anybody out. I think, they recruited all these guys at some point. They'd be happy to have them stay around. I don't think they were like broken up about most guys leaving. I even think they were comfortable with Gandy leaving, to be honest. I think they like the corners they have, and they didn't want him to leave. They weren't like, God, I hope Ryland Gandy leaves, but I think they were comfortable with it. Sincere Edwards, though, I definitely think they wanted him back. You know what I mean? Like, so like we said, there's no need for some of these other, some of these other comments that he makes. Marlon Barnes Truther says, does any other commitment, football or basketball, compare to the Roman watch and the wait for him? I don't know. This is a weird one. The international factor made it extra weird, right? And so that made it complicated to kind of track. It, I think, slowed the process down with his involvement with FIBA and all that stuff. Like, I don't know. Can you think of any others that really were drawn out like that?
Not drawn out, I don't think, but like, yeah, like it didn't feel like a big deal because they weren't going up against anyone other than time. Like, right? Like there wasn't like another school. Like there, I guess there was a chance that he explored other options other than college basketball, but it kind of felt like if he was going to play college basketball, it was going to be a Pitt. It was just only a matter of time of when it was going to happen. So it didn't have so much drama in that it was just taking a long time. Like, because again, it's not like they were going up against a rival football team or, Kentucky basketball program. It was just, all right, like if he's going to play college basketball, it's going to be a Pitt any day now, buddy. But like, that was it. Like, that was kind of it.
Yeah. Yeah. I can't really think of anything. Maybe one will come to mind, but it was such a unique situation with all the different sort of elements of it that it just, there's not really a good comparable I can think of. Steel Will 51 says Narduzi's stubbornness and arrogance was more charming after 2021 and 22, less so after 2023 and 24. Ideally, he'd have more self-awareness and relax on the eyebrow raising comments. I think I realized a long time ago that some of the shoot from the hip, fire, shoot first, ask questions later, and all those different cliches that sort of apply to it. You take the good with the bad. And there's some times where, he's out there on the field after the Clemson game in 2016 and talking about nobody thought they had a chance to win and all this stuff. And there was the only people who believe they had a chance. Like, all that stuff is good and exciting. And then you get some where, he's after game talking about how they had to beat the refs, and it's like, well, this is just who he is, and you'd like to think that there was like a monitor or some kind of filter to only use those kinds of comments in the right situations and, in under the right circumstances. But the reality is that it's the whole package and it comes out whether it should or shouldn't. It's just who he is. And so, yeah, when you're winning, then that arrogance and everything, like that's great. When you're losing, it rings a little hollow and comes off probably not the way you intended to,
Yeah, I mean, like that's all true, and what he's saying is true, but like he's not going to change who he is, and like I don't think like he like sits down at night and like thinks like how am I going to slight like the guys that transfer? Like it just comes off like he starts talking before he knows what he's saying, and it's just how it is. But like I really think like that like his players like playing for him. Like I do like I think that kind of resonates in the locker room. Like I think everyone's like, we got to stand by whatever Tuesday says, like we got to go back it up. So like I don't know. I think there's like some sort of like fun play on that with the team, but like yeah, like you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Like Pat is just gonna say what he's gonna say. So I get it rubs the people the wrong way, but like there's something to be said for being authentic, and like I think that's actually who he is.
I don't think he's putting on a front. I would agree with you about that. He is nothing if not sincere. Let's see. Josh Newark says if Kenny or Palco had the freshman year that Eli did, we would be talking about Heisman for his sophomore year. I mean, like we were talking in pretty, we were using lofty terms to talk about Eli Holstein through the first 7 games, and I think we were talking in those terms, but then some of the wrinkles were showing, some of the warts were showing, and then you have the injuries, and then you have kind of the reports that maybe he wasn't as good as he needed to be this spring. I mean, it all kind of adds up and contributes to it. And like, if you had the same circumstances where Tyler Palco or Kenny Pickett as a freshman went 7-0 and then got hurt and showed some, weaknesses in reading defenses, and then maybe didn't have a great spring camp, we'd probably be saying the same thing. I don't know if there's anything unique about Eli Holstein. It's just like, this is where it's at right now. And this is the sum total of what's happened to this point. And I think we're taking it all into consideration and sort of basing our expectations on that, right?
If Eli Holstein led Pitt on a 7-game winning streak at the end of the year and won ACC Rookie of the Week 5 times, we would be talking like that. I think it's because it happened at the beginning of the year, and what happened afterwards is what happened. So I think we're just kind of taking it all and just for what it actually is. Like you said, I mean, like if he played his best football at the end of the year and Pitt won 7 games instead of lost 6 at the end of the year, then yeah, like I think the hype train for Eli would be through the chart, like through the roof right now. It absolutely would be. So I think ending the season on an injury, not playing the final couple games, Pitt losing 6 games, he didn't light the world on fire during spring. Like that's all part of the story. I mean, it's not a knock on him. These are all things that happened.
Yeah. And he can come out and bounce back and show everybody how good he is. Let's see. Mark Sholoju says, semi-serious question. Nate Yarnell is in a 4-horse race to be the quarterback at Texas State. If things don't go his way, what are the chances he comes back to Pitt to be the reliable backup? 5%, 10%?
0?
0%.
Is there something? Can we go less than 0?
Like a negative percent. Like he has to transfer again, but he transfers even further away from Pitt. Like he's not coming back here. I don't think he would want to. And I don't know if that bridge is burnt, but
Cade Bell didn't recruit
he's gone.
Him. Like there's no allegiance there. So
right. And he wanted to go away for a chance to start, and he didn't feel like he was going to get that here. So he's away trying to get a chance to start. So even if he ends up as a backup, at least he can feel like he had a legit opportunity. Will Z says, I think Cade Bell is in as much of a proving year as Eli Holstein is. If your quarterback can't see the field like Eli struggled with cover 2, you have to be able to pull the trigger or at least design plays to account for that. Yeah, I think Cade Bell has something to prove this year. I don't think his defensive game planning or play calling or wait, did I say defensive? I don't think his offensive game planning or game planning or play calling or scheme, I don't think he adjusted well as defenses adjusted to him. And I think it put his quarterback in a difficult position. His quarterback didn't help him, but I think he put his quarterback in a difficult position. And so, yeah, I think Cade Bell needs to have come out of last season with as many lessons learned about his own approach as, there were lessons learned for Eli Holstein or anybody else. And so, yeah, I think this is a huge year for Cade Bell. I think he's got a lot to prove. At maybe not as much as Eli Holstein, but quite a bit, maybe the second most.
Yeah. And I think he carried a chip on his shoulder when he got to Pitt. I still think he has it. Like, he is still one of the youngest power four, if not the youngest power four coordinator out there. So like, yeah, I mean, he never coached at a powerful level. Like, he was only a coordinator for his dad. So, like, I think there's just a lot of things with him that he's like, I want to prove people wrong. And I think at times last year, like, his offense looked really good. I thought, like, just like the play sequencing and just like the spacing and everything worked. And like, as time went on, like you said, like teams kind of adjusted it. He didn't really adjust back. And there was times last year, like, they were running tempo and it didn't really make sense to run tempo. They would go fast just to run a 2-yard, dive up the middle. I'm like, you didn't gain anything from that tempo. So I still think there's more ways to like kind of space that out and press at the right times. And again, yeah, he's a young coordinator. Like, that was his first time like going up against ACC defenses and, talent of that caliber from a coaching standpoint. So I think there's a lot to like there. It's kind of same thing with Eli. Like, they showed enough last year that you're excited for year 2.
Kind of following up on the conversation about Cade Bell, Steel Will 51 says, what are the feelings on Bell right now? I've seen a lot of hate his way. The offense was humming until the O-line fell apart. Points per game were up 20.2 to 32.9. Very good start, but room to grow for sure. And I would agree about that. I think that I think he did a really good job. And it's kind of like we've been saying, and it's a little bit like Eli Holstein. There were a lot of really great moments, but you also have a lot to learn from. And that's going to be any coach any year, but particularly guys making the jump. Eli Holstein jumping from redshirting at Alabama to being a starter in the ACC. Cade Bell jumping from FCS to the ACC. I mean, like, there are lessons to learn. I'm not down on Cade Bell at all, right? Like, I don't think we're like giving up on Cade Bell, or I wouldn't even say I have much hate for Cade Bell. I just think he's got to, and he would probably admit this, I think. And he's a pretty confident guy, so maybe not. But I think he would have to admit that, yeah, there were some things to learn, some things to do better next year. And I'm sort of optimistic that he will. Mark Shilaju says, is it just me or am I the only one who thinks Jake Overman will do well this season? He pleasantly surprised me last year. I think he can make 25 to 30 catches this season. We've talked about Overman a few times. He had 17 catches last year, so he's not far off from your 25 to 30. I don't know. Like, Gavin Bartholomew had 38 catches last year, Jim. Does Jake Overman need 30 plus catches, or are we shifting those tight end catches more to the receivers and the running backs?
Yeah, I mean, for what the tight end is in this offense, I think Jake Overman can run it. Like, I think everything that they're going to ask at the tight end, like, he's capable of doing. But, like, he's not, like, a difference maker. And I don't know if, like, this offense requires a difference maker at tight end. Like, even last year, you talk about, like, Bartholomew's 38 catches. Like, how many of them were, like, pointless? Like, just, like, little shovel passes that weren't really going to go anywhere anyway. So it seemed at times they were trying to force the ball to him. So, like, if the tight end is only supposed to catch 25, 30 passes, I think Jake Overman can do that.
Yeah. Still remaining to see what you get out of it. I feel like I've been more positive about Jake Overman than maybe a lot of people, talking about how useful he can be. It's just, I don't know. I think I'm just, this is the off season where I give up on tight ends. So this will be where they break out. Like, this will be where Overman catches like 50 passes for 700 yards and 7 touchdowns or something like that. Maybe not 700 yards, maybe not 50 passes, but 7 touchdowns. How many touchdowns do you think the leader in touchdown receptions will have this season for Pitt? Whoever it is. So, like, what's the number?
I think last year the number was 6.
It was 6. Raphael Williams. Yeah. 5 of them in the first 7 games.
I think Kenny Johnson can have 8.
I think 8 is the number they get to.
Yeah. Are you starting to work on your preseason
over unders?
Yeah.
I need to get further into training camp. It needs to be like,
it's like
that third Wednesday of training camp. We'll do the over unders on on the live show, because we're not there yet. We have plenty of other things to talk about. That's breaking in case of emergency. We have nothing else to do. Let's see. Buzz through a couple of these. Will Z says, I feel Cade Bell is a young offensive coordinator. The first few games, teams didn't know what to expect. His teams adjusted. His scheme got exposed quick. Because of Taylor injury, he struggled to adjust. Will Z follows up, not all Cade Bell's fault, as Dave Borberly left the O-line reserves bare. Scott Martin says, not feeling great with a 2 big S on the blocks offense.
Bigs. Corin and
two bigs. Oh, that's football. Oh,
no, basketball.
I mean basketball. Yeah, we were talking about so much football stuff. I had no idea what he was talking about. Yeah, I mean, it's atypical to play that kind of offense. Could it be crazy enough that it just might work?
What did I send you guys earlier? That Pitt's trying to play like 2004 UConn without Emeka Okafor.
Yeah, the hard thing about that, and was the Villanueva kid on that team too? Did they have like
Josh
those
Boone?
two guys?
Like they had like 3 6'11" guys, and I don't think
they've been trying to take it back to the old Big East Pitt for a couple of years now, and they just might have pulled it off. I just don't know if they can hold other teams to 62 points. Beavis and Butthead asks, this is a great question. Who's the best player on the Pitt basketball team this season?
Barry Dunning Jr.
There you have it. That's an answer. That's an answer. Mark Shoji wants to know, where's Pitt with the Victory Heights project? Is it any closer to having the money to finance it? I mean, they've been financing it all along. They're not raising enough money to pay for it, and it's still being built. I mean, the thing's coming along. I haven't seen inside, but the outside keeps getting more and more looking like a building. So,
yeah,
that's
when is it supposed to open?
I forget if it. I mean, it doesn't seem like it's going to be ready for anything this fall. Maybe in the spring. So I don't know. I have to look into that and see if there's been any announcement or when the last announcement of a, date was. What about this? Steel Will 51 says the Servassier Dennis shovel pass pick 6 against Clemson is the defining linebacker moment of the Pat Narduzi era. It was the biggest play by a Pitt linebacker in the Pat Narduzi era. I feel like the Syracuse game collectively is the defining linebacker moment of the Pat Narduzi era. When you have 4 linebackers make an interception, 3 of them return them for touchdowns. They weren't as big as the shovel pass, which was this biggest single play of the Narduzi era. But I think that game is the single biggest linebacker performance collectively of the Narduzi era.
Not Cam Bright doing a scoop and score touchdown in the Peach Bowl, then coming on the sideline and trying to fight his team. Like that was.
Who did he fight? Was it MJ Devonshire or Marquez Williams or something?
It was a cornerback. Yeah.
Yeah. Corners are feisty, Let's see. Scrolling through. Paul Sebastian, we'll finish on this question. Besides Jordan Addison, have there been any Pitt portal transfers that have done better or been more successful after transferring? Who's been the most successful transfers who left? And there's a couple guys, but I'm like drawing a blank right now. I mean, DeAndre Jules played a bit. I don't think he was more successful than he was at Pitt.
Nothing's coming to mind. I mean, I guess you could argue like Jordan Addison wasn't as good at USC as he was at Pitt.
Yeah. I mean, he didn't put up, his numbers were not better. He had a worse stat line at USC than he did at Pitt. Who was I just thinking of? The one linebacker, Aiden Henningham, did better at Albany State than he did at Pitt. But
that's a name drop.
It's because he was not doing anything at Pitt. Albany State, which is in Georgia, not New York.
Not the Great Danes.
No, that would just be Albany. Albany State, I think, is an HBCU in Georgia. Albany, Georgia. So,
speaking of Albany, do you know Nate Bynum's the offensive coordinator at Stanford?
I think I knew he was out there. I don't know if he knew he was the offensive coordinator. Is that new this year?
Yeah, because I was doing I've been writing those previews for all Pitt's opponents, and I also noticed Stanford calls their offensive coordinator director of offense.
Ah, interesting. Not coordinator of offense.
He is the Andrew Luck director of offense for Stanford University.
Okay,
that is a position.
It's a title. It is
not
a
the Chris Bickle 97 head coach of the University of Pittsburgh, but it's a title.
I mean, everybody does this stuff, Everybody makes those. Mark Sholoju points out Sam Okunlola started at Colorado. I think he had better stats at Colorado than he did his last year at Pitt. So maybe he would be a guy. but he was also young. He transferred after his redshirt freshman year. So maybe if he had stayed at Pitt, he might have done better. I mean, there's no real comparison to Addison, who had a big season at Pitt, left, and went on and did something even comparable. You know what I mean? There's not really any comparisons of like guys who had big seasons at Pitt and then transferred, right? Like other than Addison. Truly big season. I mean, Deion Hayes had a nice season. DeShields or Kamara or these guys, Gandy. But like nobody had a big season.
He was like the only all-conference caliber player to leave Pitt during this era.
Yeah,
I would
say that. Yeah, I think that's fair. That's fair. All right, let's wrap it up. We got training camp starts next Wednesday, so we'll have plenty of stuff to talk about then. So we got that to look forward to. Make sure you like this video and subscribe. YouTube.com/Panther-Lair.com. We continue with our Pitt football preview content at Panther-Lair.com. So check that stuff out. Jim will have the 3-2-1 column on Friday. We always look forward to that. I'm wrapping up the safeties. Preview of the safeties this week. We got a prediction on the safeties tomorrow and the top 5 safeties in the Narduzi era, which is actually pretty interesting. We could probably do a whole podcast just talking about that because it was hard to come up with the top 5 safeties and not necessarily to come up with the names, but to decide what order to put them in. So maybe we can talk about that. Remind me. Well, next week it'll be like the start of training camp. We'll have plenty of stuff to talk about there. So, but remind me. Maybe we can talk about that because I think it'll be kind of fun. All right, Jim, thanks for your time tonight. Thanks everybody for tuning in on the live stream. Make sure you like and subscribe. Have a good rest of your Wednesday night, and we'll catch up with you tomorrow for the Morning Pit right here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.